Hola a todos, ¿qué tal mi gente? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, bienvenidos. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys a app redesign project that I did. I initially created this project to kind of help those who aren't as familiar with UX and UI better understand the process behind the visual design and the strategy that goes into creating it. So I realized in a lot of my day in the life videos, you guys don't actually get to see what I'm working on. So I thought taking a look at this project that I created and just showing you guys the kind of an overview or a shorthand view of the process from start to finish to give you a better idea of what I do would be cool. So if you are ready to check it out, be sure to hit that subscribe button and let's get started. Is it recording? Okay, it's recording. We're live. Okay, so this first screen that we're looking at here, these are images or screenshots of the initial Water app. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Water app, but essentially it's an app that helps you and encourages you to drink more water and track your daily water intake. So it's a very simplistic app, as you can see here. Basically, we just have a reminder to not forget to drink our water. We have a percentage that tells you at what percentage, what amount you've hit throughout the day, the number of ounces that is, and out of what number. So basically how you got this percentage up here, and I think this goal number is set. You can set that in your settings, which is down here. We have a button to add a drink, and then we have two other mysterious icons, if you will, down here at the bottom. This one I know has to be settings just because that's such a familiar icon, but these could possibly be anything depending, you know, on the app. So I don't, and because these are screenshots, I can't even click them open anymore. So I don't actually remember what these are, but other buttons where you can venture off to other pages of the app are there. And then down here is an ad that they have. So advertisement is shown here at the bottom, these little ad banners. And then another mysterious icon at the top. That light bulb could mean anything. Like, and again, these are screenshots taken from the old Water app. We're gonna walk through this redesign now, but since then they have actually done a redesign, so it really looks nothing like this anymore, but just stick with me here. So this next screenshot that we have here, if you were to hit this add a drink button, it takes you to this page to be able to select a drink. You can select water, coffee, tea, and then there's other drinks that you can also select, but I believe you have to buy the premium version of the app in order to access those, which is why they're grayed out. So this next page, you're able to select how many ounces. So we've selected water. We're gonna do either one of these predetermined quantities that they have here, or we can toggle over here and do a custom amount, which we use the numeric pad in order to enter a number. In this case, we enter 16, and boom, you can see we have hit 14% because we've gotten 16 ounces of our goal of 118, and we get a reminder to not forget our water bottle when we go for a walk. We also see that the water is leveling up, so that's exciting to see some animation with the app. And then it just continues to show more screenshots of how it kind of looks as you progress throughout the day and add more ounces to your quantity and get closer to your goal. So that's the overall like basic functionality. And typically when you have, like, let's say a client came to you and they're like, we have this app and we have these goals and we want to redesign this app to get to said goals. Ideally, you would have those in mind, formulate questions around those, around getting answers to what you need to find solutions and accomplish those goals. And you would do that by talking with users and maybe doing some testing, some interviewing, some research. But in the case of this project, like I said, it's just like a high overview of like what the process is. I kind of just did a quick analysis, what's working, what's not working with how this design is right now. So this is based off of my own experience. It is very, very biased. I just want to go ahead and throw that out there. In a real scenario, the actual UX part of this, the strategy part of this, you would do a lot more research activities and things of that nature. But with that being said, I'm going to walk through again and kind of just point out the things that aren't working first, and then we'll end off with the good stuff, right? So first and foremost, I want to call out this ad at the bottom. Now, this is a very easy to hit area. It's a high touch zone, I believe they call it. So it's really easy to accidentally hit that advertisement, and I think that is just so annoying. So that would be something I would call out that is just, it's not working for me. The next thing would be the hierarchy on this page isn't very clear, especially when it comes to the buttons. Like, all three of these are the same size. We don't really have much info into what they are. They all kind of are like weighted the same. And if you look how balanced they are with this button, I don't know, it just seems like competing call to actions are all over the page, especially with that advertisement at the bottom. So yeah, that's just like with the UI part of things that I would call out that could use some improvements. The next thing would be, even here, just kind of the way that these are faded out. They're hard to see. I would question if they would meet accessibility standards. So even also, if you think about like the way that they're laid out, it just kind of seems like you have more options that you can't access versus can, which makes you kind of, as a user, question the value that you're getting out of the free app. So just looking at the layout of that, I think that's something that I would consider restructuring. And then just the overall functionality with how entering in the amount of ounces for the app is. I feel like there's a way to kind of simplify this experience where there's not as many clicks or as many pages or screens to go through, and you can get through the process more easily. So those were some of the things I would consider improving when doing the redesign, both for the UI side of things, the way that it looks, and for the experience. Now, for what is working, what I do like about how the interface is now, I like that it's minimal. I like that what you see on the page is really just focused on what you need to see in order to enter your water intake and track at what point you are in. So I think that's one thing we want to keep, outside of that advertisement being just a big eyesore for me. We're well, really more of a touch sore. It's just in the way. It seems in the way. But outside of that, I like the clean interface. So that's something we want to look to keep in the next part of the redesign. I thought the water animation was super, super cool. I like how it tracks up, and it's just really engaging, and I think that's a positive thing, and really helps and benefits the engagement for the app. The icons, the iconography, I think that's a nice little touch, maybe stylizing them a little bit differently, but I like the idea behind that. I like that there's drink variety options. I think that is a good idea to use as an enticing way to get the user to upgrade. So it's a cool thing to offer, definitely something to keep. And another big thing that I like is that there are 2 ways to enter in the ounces that you want to track in that period. So the fact that they have set amounts, but they also give you an option to enter your own amount. Choices are good, especially since all users are different, and they might prefer one method over the other. So that's definitely something you want to keep in the next phase of the design. So now that we've reviewed the app, we've kind of done a mini critique, what's working, what's not working, we're ready to hop into the next phase of the process, which in this case is going to be wireframes. So looking at these wireframes now, these are what I would consider to be kind of high fidelity. Normally they would be a lot more basic than this. There would be no type of styling when it comes to like text or even the type of copy that's in here. This is actual copy. Ideally you would just use like some filler copy, lorem ipsum. There's actual buttons on here. Usually you just see shapes and shades of color, boxes and squares, and maybe some circles. Like, and wireframes are really, really basic. So For this particular project, like I said, because it's so high level, I made these a little bit more high fidelity just to give a better idea of what the visual transition is gonna be. So bear with me here. So for this first page, and we can kind of compare and contrast from the one above, this first initial page now looks like this. So first and foremost, we move that ad space up at the top. Now, I know this is probably a little bit more in your face, but to me, I think weighing the pros and the cons, the fact that the user won't accidentally hit that ad space is a win. Now, if we were actually working with the business, they may purposely want that ad space there for a reason because they get paid by clicks or whatever it might be. But that's one benefit that I will call out about doing projects for yourself, or just kind of making up your own project. You really get to call all the shots. So that is one plus. I don't have to worry about why that ad space was there. I can just move it to the top. But keep in mind, when you are working with clients, if you are working for a business or doing this project for anyone else, they would have some say, and they may have an actual reason for wanting to keep that ad space there, in which case you would just have to work around it. Okay, so hopping back into this, we kept the water animation, we see it here. We moved the percentage over to the side here, and it kind of just shows the progression with the animation, so you kind of see it going up and can keep track of it that way. And then here we put the number of ounces that you've actually drank. And then we have our little motivational quote here at the bottom, and a button to add your next drink of water or whatever beverage you are partaking in that day. Now those three buttons that we had here are tucked away behind this hamburger menu, and ideally when you open this, you would be able to access wherever those buttons take you. Seeing as I didn't even know where they led, it's just behind the hamburger menu. So if you were to click that add to drink button, next you're going to see the screen pop up. You're able to select your drinks. I changed the way the layout of those icons were and just kind of used just some horizontal scrolling instead, so that the user can kind of reveal as they'd like and look with curiosity. It adds a little element of curiosity too. It's not so like in your face, haha, you can't access these. Nice little balance. And then we can also see the ounces there, the amount of ounces that you want to enter here. You can use this slider that's available here and just slide left to the right. Ideally, those pre-selected quantities that we saw in the previous screenshot, it would be like those set quantities, and you'd see them as you scroll left to right. Another option would be to click on the actual quantity amount, in which it would pop up that numeric keypad, and then you can enter in whatever amount you'd like. Just like before, you have both options, but now the user can kind of intuitively find which one works for them, as opposed to having to toggle back and forth. Just cleans up the interface a little bit. All right, so once we've added our drink, you can see we've boosted up 42 ounces. This percentage is probably way wrong, I don't know. And we see our little motivational quote here, and we're keeping track of our water. So those are the wireframes. From here, the next step would be, or at least for me in the case of doing this project, the next step was to kind of come up with a design system, if you will, or just laying out some of the brand colors, doing some iconography, textiles, you know, really just setting the, I guess a brand style guide, a mini brand style guide for the app. But ideally you would build out a design system because it would encompass all the pages of the app. And this is just what I needed for these few pages, if that makes sense. So ideally I went back up into the screenshot mockups and kind of just eyedropped out some colors from there, used those to start with. I came up with this palette below and just tweaked some of the colors to make them pop a little bit more. I added in this orange color just to add some emphasis. I knew I want to add emphasis to specifically that button that's on the homepage. So I wanted a color that was really going to pop and go well with the rest of the palette, and orange just seemed like a good fit. So added in that orange color, went through and took the iconography that they had, used that as inspiration, and came up with this set. laid out some textiles, and created a button style, if you will, primary button style. So from there, here you can see these are what we would call the high fidelity mock-ups. And basically I just took that initial wireframe, put it alongside with my brand style guide, brought the two together, and created a final design. So ideally at this stage of the process, once you've created these, the business comes together, decide this is a go, it will be handed off to the development team, who would then actually build this and make it come to life. Because right now we're just essentially looking at pictures, but it helps everyone on the product team get aligned with what the final product should look like and how it should function. Okay, so looking at the final app here, you can see we now have that ad at the top. And honestly, depending on what ad is showing there, I don't think it's too bad. It's, again, I definitely prefer it up there. It gives us more space too for this whole ruler to kind of go from top to bottom. I added in this little like buoy tracker, if you will, that kind of counts and gives your eye a better idea of where you are along this percentage line. We have, like I said, like we see in the, we have up here, like we've seen in the wireframes, how many ounces we've drank, our little motivational quote. And I went ahead and changed the button to a plus sign and made it a lot bigger. Easy for someone to press on, to see, to find. You just open it and boom, go in to add your water. And you don't have to read anything, you know, and people don't like to read. So I figured that was a good switch for that spot. So you hit that plus button, up pops this window where you can, like we saw in the wireframes, use the slider to adjust your amount, or you can actually click into the number to pop up the numeric pad, which we'll see in just a sec. And then I went ahead and switched the location of the ounce amount with the drink selections. And I think that was just a visual choice, honestly, in terms of hierarchy, whatever I thought was most important. And I think as for user experience, especially being someone who uses this app a lot, usually I'm drinking water throughout the day. I don't switch up my drinks often, as boring as that sounds. So I would even say that it could save pre-selected options. And so this basically means if I've opened the screen before and I've hit water, water would already be selected, and I would just have to adjust whatever ounce amount that I'm going to enter. Just again, much simpler experience and a lot less clicks. So if they were to click into the ounce and enter quantity, the numeric keypad pops. The numeric keypad pops up here, and you can add a drink, and we see it, and go up, our percentage increase, get a little motivational message, and yeah, that is our redesigned water app. Okay, so that is pretty much it. That is a super high level overview of kind of what I do on the daily, just on a different project on a much very larger scale. So it's not quite as rapid as this, but like I said, these kind of projects are great to put into your portfolio. One, because it gives you some practice into thinking and walking through the process of both sides of it, honestly, whichever route you choose to take, or if you choose to take both UX or UI. It's a great opportunity to really build up your portfolio, get that experience in whichever avenue you want to take in the UX field. And honestly, it's fun. It's fun to be able to call the shots on how your product turns out and what it looks like. I know a lot of you have asked about how to kind of like break into the UX field, and I think doing projects like these, projects where you're just looking for a problem out there to solve and taking it upon yourself to walk through the process and find a solution for it, or design a solution for it, this is a great way to do that. It's a great portfolio builder, and it really does help you kind of get the experience that you would need to think of those questions to ask and look for, you know, specific things when you're doing, like, you have to just train your eye and your brain to like think and look for those type of things. So doing projects like these is really beneficial. I am going to drop my portfolio link down in the comment box below. You guys can drop yours. We can do a portfolio share. Let me know if you want me to check it out. I love to see other designers' portfolios and just connect. So feel free to drop that below. Definitely give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Yeah, that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching and I'll catch you guys later. Adios.